Hi there and welcome to another Garden Solutions Top Tips. Today you may recognise this garden from one of the other videos we did, which is all about lifting plants out and repotting them at a later date or moving them to other places in your garden. But with this video, today we're talking about slate and putting down a membrane. So this doesn't necessarily have to be slate, this could be bark, gravel, any sort of area that you're doing where you basically want to put down a membrane and put down a gravel layer or something else on the top. So we've excavated this area. Now you may be asking and sort of saying, well, I can still see the odd weed here and there. Now that's fine because we're doing a membrane anyway. This is going to suppress that and actually kill off the weeds underneath for us. So the great thing about doing a membrane is you don't have to excavate everything out from underneath. But what we're going to talk about is a couple of key tips when doing so. So in this case, we've got a patio edge with a bedding area. Now the soil actually came up level with the patio. The challenge with this is, we'll give you a few little weeds out, get rid of those. The challenge here is if you leave it level, when you put the membrane down, the slate's going to be higher. I'll show you. So what we've got here is some membrane. You put the membrane down, and if you leave it level and you put the membrane down, your slate's going to come off, and what's going to happen is it's going to slide off onto it. You're constantly going to have to be fighting, which you don't want to do. So a tip from us is to make sure once you've got your area clear, come along with an edging knife or a trowel or something else that you can do and skim along the edges. The soil's going to be moved backwards or onto the edge. If you do that, just make sure you then brush over and try to even out the area. So we're just going to churn it over, give ourselves a little bit of a lip. What's going to happen then is that the slate's going to slide into there and hold nice and natural. Also by doing this, what you're doing is if there's any weeds or any loose bits of, bulbs or anything else, like in this case there's a bulb set here, take that out. If there's anything like that in there, you're going to get rid of it. You're going to make sure, because this is your easiest area for your membrane, where it's going to be at its weakest. This is where your bulbs and everything else are going to try and find their light. So you want to make sure you've done that. Now you can see it's a little bit bumpy. It's not a problem because once the membrane's down, we're going to even that out. Plus we're also going to be putting some plants into the ground. So rather than putting the plant straight into the ground now and then trying to work the membrane afterwards, we're going to cut the membrane afterwards. That way we can keep it nice and tight. The membrane we're going to use today, if I can find my knife, is a fairly standard, it's not a heavy membrane. There are a couple of different types you can get. You can get like these sort of 5-10 year membranes, which is one of these. This is a 10-year membrane. And basically the concept with these is they block out the light. This will stop any sort of plants from growing their way through. But they're thin enough to allow moisture to get through. Now in some of the heavier stuff, like the 15-year supply, the 15-year stuff is much harder for the water to get through. So you tend to get a little bit of pooling on the top, which isn't too much of a problem. But when you want sort of clear drainage and free running water to get through, and you have got plants underneath, because we are going to be putting plants into the ground, it's better to have a weak material. So this is standard, I think it's about 20 meters, I think this one, or 20 feet. So as you can see, it's quite a thin material. You can kind of see daylight coming through. And if you can see me through it, I can see you. And we're going to work this along. So we're going to do 2 layers of it, working our way around the tree. So what we'll do, line it out. Ideally use something like brick. You can use pegs. Some people use pegs for this. Because we're putting quite a lot of slate down, we're not going to use pegs for this. If you were doing a very light membrane or something that's going to be moved around on, and specifically if you're going to be walking around on your membrane, so you're going to use this as an area that's going to have shingle on the top or something like that, you're going to walk around, definitely peg your matting down, because otherwise it will shift over time. Okay, let's get busy. Okay, so we've got here first bit of membrane down. Obviously, if this was temp peg down, it'd be easier at this point, but we're just going to use a few items just to weigh it down until we can get the shingle. We've overlapped in the middle to give us plenty of coverage, and you'll notice I've overlapped onto the paving. What we'll do here is, once the slate's down, we'll use a weed burner just to burn off the edges, give it a nice neat finish. But at the moment we don't want to be too close, because otherwise you're going to get slates into the soil, and when that does, it will start to seep under, and we don't want that to happen. Let's crack on. Okay, so here we go. So it's the end of the day 2. We didn't get a chance to finish it all on day 1 because of heavy rain, but basically what we've now done is we had the overlapping weed membrane fabric sticking out. This has all been filled in. We've trimmed back the weed membrane fabric whilst we're happy that we've got enough of the slate down, and now the slate's basically right up to the edge, and it's just down below the actual patio level, so that way you're not going to get this spilling over if you move around on it. Nice heavy raindrop. We've given this a nice pressure wash over here, but when you get a nice bit of heavy rain, this will clean this area up nicely for us, and we've now got our slate bedding area nice and prepared. We put the plants in. To do that, we just cut through a cross section of the membrane, peeled that back, dug the hole down, did nice square holes, sunk down, filled the soil back in, folded back the membrane, and then put the large slate on. We've used large slate for around the actual plants, and we've used shallow slate on the other areas. There we go, our garden's now done for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell icon, like and share. And that's it from Garden Solutions Hertford UK.